Good evening, everybody. All right. Sunday soul sessions. Oh my God. In complete transparency, I completely forgot. I'm very grateful for the lovely Kate for shooting me a quick message. Oh, I've had a hectic couple of days, so yeah. We're here now though. Yay! Just waiting for our guest to join. Is she on? Hi Sky, how are you? All right, Kate. Invite. I'm just inviting Kate on. Oh, shut that window. Shan't be long. How's everybody's day been? Hey, lovely. All right, I'm just adding you in. Okay.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Good, gorgeous. How are you?
Oh my God, I completely forgot. I'm so sorry.
It's all
Fuck.
good.
I was sitting on the couch. My partner did a 24-hour adventure race, like started on Saturday morning and finished this morning. So I've just had the kids and we're in Noosa and I just completely forgot. But we're here. Yay. I'm so grateful for your message that came
Oh, you're
through.
so welcome. You're so welcome. It's a pleasure to connect with you and actually have a
Yes.
conversation.
I know there's all these like messages and stuff. It's always nice to connect it in real time,
Yes.
real life. Hi.
Hello.
Right. Let's do this.
Let's do
Hi,
it.
Sky. Hi, Bob. Hi, Dana. All right, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So tonight I am joined by the incredible Kate. Is it Steffi Gray? Is that how you pronounce it?
Yep. Spot on.
Beautiful. And we are going to be discussing and learning, because this is an area that I don't know a lot about, all about plant medicine and what it is, what's involved, how it can actually impact your life and its kind of purpose. You have done a fair bit of work in this area, I believe, Kate.
Yeah, so I've been exploring with psychedelics or hallucinogens since my early 20s. So I got introduced in the bush doof. I don't know if you
Yes.
ever.
Plenty of bush doofs.
Oh yeah. So that's how I got my introduction, and from there I moved into a more sacred and ritual way of using them. And I definitely do not experiment recreationally with them at all. I think that's quite dangerous.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have really bad experiences, understandably. They're not to be had at raves. However, that's how I started. So I'm grateful for that. And that was a long time ago. So I'm 37 now. So I don't even know how many years that is. Yeah.
I had no idea you were 37, girlfriend.
The plant
Damn.
medicine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Outside of time.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's interesting because I never actually even knew that plant medicine was a thing. So for me, it was always that kind of recreational. That was the knowledge that I had around mushrooms and psychedelics and that kind of stuff. I never actually knew until I actually, only in the last year, since it's kind of becoming really in my awareness and around a lot, that it's actually something that you can do to really do work on yourself and clear and heal. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a powerful mirror. So the way I like to explain it to people, drugs are used to escape reality. Plant medicine and psychedelics, when used in a specific way, are used to face reality. So we face off. It can become a brutal mirror. However, the only way to fully embody transformation is to go through that murky stuff, is to burn off and to face off with all of those limitations and all of the things that are deeply uncomfortable. And it does that in such a powerful way because it's fully immersive for the period, whatever medicine it is, it's fully immersive. It fully changes your reality for however long, whether it's DMT and it's 10 minutes whether it's ayahuasca and it's 3 hours, or whether it's iboga and it's 72 hours. It's a fully
Wow.
immersive experience. And because of that, it's a huge catalyst for healing and change. It's just got to be done in the right way. I guess that's the message I like to promote, you know, safety, one, and a way that actually helps us find our truth rather than creating more illusions and the spiritual ego being built from it, which is happening like a lot, which happens with anything, right? When it grows in the personal and spiritual development world, all of a sudden the shadow comes in and kind of takes it off root, which has happened in the medicine community a lot.
Yeah, right. And one thing that really like comes up for me in the question of it is, how is it actually different to doing it recreationally? And like, is it the same kind of hallucination kind of experience that you would have if you were doing it recreationally, or is it like a purer form of, or like how is it actually monitored or like given to you so it's safe?
Yes. So it's done in a ritual or a ceremony. So it invokes, you know, the spirits of the north, south, east, west, up above, down below. You know, we work with the unseen forces to help protect and guide people. And we set deep intentions. And within the ceremonies, they're very individual. So although we're in groups and you have people who are looking over you to keep you safe, there's no talking. It's silent. It's all about going inwards. You can have a journal if you can write. That's always amusing to me. Right? I cannot. And it's about doing that work that way. And then afterwards, it's about deconstructing that. So it's not out, you know, where the environment's uncontrolled. It's very controlled. The container is very safe. There's people watching you, done with a deep intention and calling upon, you know, the energies we can't see and the ancestors of the land and the ancestors and protectors of this medicine that's thousands and thousands of years old to help guide us to heal and end suffering.
Wow. Yeah, that's a completely different experience to a bush stuff, isn't it?
Totally
so different. So how did you get into this? Like, obviously you experimented with it like recreationally, but then when did you kind of discover that you could actually have such an incredibly healing experience from it?
Yeah. So I started with LSD, which is a psychedelic. It's not necessarily a plant medicine because it's a chemical compound. And back in the day, I used to take it with ecstasy, which is ludicrous. And you know, when you're young and you feel like you're never going to die, I did some really crazy stuff. And so that opened my mind to the truth that although this was a chemical compound, it exposed me to the fact that it allowed me to see beyond what we can actually see in front of us, to tap into the unseen world, or the world that we are conditioned out of seeing. So it tapped me into consciousness or source, or allowed me to actually look at myself as an infinite, limitless, timeless being, rather than this contained, limited, meat suit, temporal identity that I believe myself to be. So even though I took it in those environments, it started to really expand my mind, because I started to question, you know, this feels so real. Is it real, or am I just tripping? And at the time I was studying Buddhist philosophy and psychology, and the components of things that we were studying, one book in particular, the Tibetan Book of Death and Dying, it was really parallel to what I was experiencing on LSD. And then, of course, at, I think it was the Rainbow Serpent Festival, I met, what a surprise, I met a really cool Indigenous elder there who used a lot of the medicines, mainly mushrooms and acacia. I never sat with acacia up until the last year, which is the Australian version of ayahuasca. But with him, I worked with the mushrooms and with the Wachuma, the San Pedro. And that was incredible. And that started it for me. Just a chance meeting and an expansion of my mind was how it all happened.
Wow. Crazy. And so you said that there's like an Australian version of ayahuasca. So what exactly is ayahuasca?
So ayahuasca is the plant that everybody's going like crazy about right now.
Yeah.
And why am I traveling to South America? And South America is really, Peru particularly is an interesting climate at the moment. And I interviewed a beautiful girl the other day who takes groups to Brazil with the Yanawana people. Yanawana, I hope I said that right. I always say it wrong. And she said that she wouldn't even recommend anywhere in Peru at the moment because the ayahuasca industry there is becoming this massive tourism hub. And a lot of the shadow, this is what I meant when I was talking about how the shadow's coming in, and a lot of shamans are not only disrespecting the medicine and Mother Earth, but they're disrespecting the people who are entrusting them to keep them safe throughout the journey. So think protocols and safety procedures aren't being held, people are dying, and all sorts of things. Ayahuasca is a vine and it's grown in the Amazon. And what happened was, as shamans had a vision when they were smoking mapacho, which is another tobacco form medicine, they had a vision that if they combined these two plants, the trichruna plant and the ayahuasca vine, that it would allow the barrier that we naturally have in our body to block DMT, because DMT is the active ingredient. It's present in your brain, it's present in my brain, it's present in trees, it's present in animals, but we have this natural defense mechanism. Otherwise, we would be tripping balls all of the time, so to speak. So they had this vision while they were smoking the mapacho, that they combined these two plants and they brewed them in a certain way that would block that natural defense we had temporarily and allow us to actually explore that realm of DMT. So for thousands of years, it's been used for healing in the Amazon and used for allowing people to come into, I guess, their own spiritual awakening, their version of spiritual awakening, for thousands of years in indigenous tribes in the Amazon.
Wow, that's crazy. So what is different to this Australian one then?
Australian's actually stronger. So our acacia tree is actually stronger in DMT. It's higher. And there's
so it's a vine as well, or is it a tree?
It's actually a tree. I believe they use the sap or the bark. I haven't been involved in the brewing process of this yet. It's something that I'm looking forward to being involved in. It's very sacred. It's not something that, you know, the Aboriginal elders and Indigenous elders of Australia have not even really opened this up until very recently, the work that they do with the acacia, to any white man or woman to come in and be involved. So I've not been involved in the brewing process. I will be soon, which will be really cool.
Wow, incredible.
Yeah, so I'm not exactly sure like how they do from the bark or the sap, but it's higher in DMT and it's grown on our land. So each plant has its own essence, you know, its own spirit, depending on where it was grown. So there's a different energy in the one, you know, the ayahuasca that they grow in Hawaii, they grow it in Hawaii, to Brazil or to Peru, and to then our acacia in Australia.
Wow, there's so much to it. I can't, like, it's just a whole new world to me, hey, and something that it just keeps coming into my awareness. So that's why I was like, okay, I need to get on it and have a chat with you and bring it to other people's awareness as well. So for me personally, like, and I don't know if this may resonate with anyone who's watching, but I had an experience not that long ago, maybe a couple of years ago, before I met my partner, where I took what I thought was MDMA, and it turned out to be some kind of trip. And we'd crushed it up and snorted it, and it was my birthday, so I got the biggest line and ended up tripping fucking balls. I was off my tree, and I've sworn off drugs. Like, it was enough to put me off. Like, it scared the crap out of me. I think I was naked and like smashing shit, thinking I was the decider of the universe and whether the world was going to continue the way that it was, or if I was going to be the one that would change it. And then I was some moldy, like, spiritual goddess that, it was fucking out of control. Fully scared the crap out of me. So the thought of going in and doing anything again, like, really terrifies me. So how is it like to kind of, like, obviously that was something that's like tapped into something in my mind that's taken me on this journey of, I don't even know what, but to kind of overcome, like, I'm curious about what it is that this whole plant medicine thing is, and diving into it. But there's a real fear there of, well, is it going to be similar to that kind of experience?
Firstly, not knowing you're about to take a psychedelic is terrifying. So, you know, then all of a sudden the walls are melting, or, you know, you're thinking that you're the destructor of the universe. That is traumatic. And that, in any context, whether it's you're taking a psychedelic or your drink, heaven forbid, has been drugged, or all of a sudden you've eaten a brownie, but actually it's a hash cookie. Whenever your reality in any way is being filtered and you weren't expecting it, it's going to be traumatic.
True.
It's about finding a facilitator that you have a connection with and that you trust deeply. And every journey is different. I've never had two journeys that are the same, ever. I would dare say that you had LSD. It sounds very much
Yeah.
like acid or LSD. So interesting. And MDMA is actually a hallucinogen. It falls under the category of an hallucinogenic. So that's interesting.
Does it?
Yeah, it does. Yes, it's a
I
psychedelic.
didn't know that.
Yeah, it's a psychedelic. Just
Ah.
finding someone you trust, and you don't have to have a lot. So, for example, the shaman that I'm blessed deeply to work with, if people, say to him, he doesn't like doing it because he believes if you're there, go deep. However, if people are really anxious and unsure, well, then he'll allow them to have a smaller dose, because it's much better, in my opinion, that someone walks away with a positive experience and dips their toe in the bath than them getting third degree, because I want them to come back to this tool. I want them to be able to use it and build confidence and trust. So I have a deep relationship with the plants. So I trust them unequivocally. So if I go into a journey, I've journeyed with them enough, or different various ones, that I trust them. So I know if I'm going to be shown something that may be traumatic, that there's a rhyme and a reason for this. And I trust them so much that I'm able to surrender to that process and go through it, because medicine wears off. I know I'm going to come out the other end. And I think that is scary when you don't know what's happened. You cannot hold on to that intention. I know the medicine wears off because you don't know what you've taken. So just going into it with that sometimes is enough to overcome that fear and actually break through that barrier.
Yeah, okay, cool. Because it was definitely like I had no idea. Next thing I was just going, like speaking in tongues and flying off, and had no idea what was happening to me. Thinking that, because when you're in something like that, it feels real. It feels like it's your reality. And it wasn't much fun.
And that's what makes it a powerful tool. But also, if you like recreationally, I don't know how people take mushrooms and go out. Like, that is insanity to me. I don't understand, because everything around you is shifted and changed. So the thing that people freak out on with psychedelics is that they can't anchor. They can't ground themselves to reality. And that's when they become afraid that they won't come back, which is why ritual, ceremony, and intention are essential. Because if you can't ground and anchor during the journey, you potentially can freak out. So it's about having a container where you can ground and anchor. You know the medicine's going to wear off, whether you take a totem in with you, very Inception, or whether you have like something or someone around that is an anchor for you, that you can still grasp for reality as it is in this sense somehow, you're fine. But without that, it's madness. Like, anything could happen. That's why people jump out of 10-story buildings and think they can fly, or drown because they think they can breathe underwater. They lose all grips on where they're going to come back to, and so they don't come back.
Oh.
It's dangerous.
Yeah, it is really dangerous. And so I guess, like, when you're in it, are you able to actually kind of pull yourself out of it a bit? Like I guess in that kind of a situation where it is really well laid out and intentional, you still, like, even though you're in it, you still have a level of awareness of reality, or are you just right in it, and if something comes in and you see something, or like, I'm guessing there's someone that's kind of spotting and keeping an eye on you and that kind of thing as well.
Yeah, there's many people, shamans supporting. Like, it's different everywhere. Some people sit with ayahuasca alone, that I know. But in the containers and the way we facilitate in our retreats, there's many people watching. We have, our rule is we have one support person to every 2 participants.
Okay.
So there's always everybody watching. So in Vanuatu, there will be 2 support people to one support person to 2 participants. But it's different for everyone. So, the medicine works with you intrinsically with your own makeup, your own spirit, your own heart, your own identity. So it's not the same. Like, my partner can snap out of it. Like, there's been a time where my most powerful journey was also one that was quite terrifying for me, because I lost grip on reality, which is why I can talk about it so freely, because I've been there and I've journeyed many times after it. But he was able to pull himself out because I was in such a state that they needed to get him, because he then became my anchor. They knew that I needed an anchor, and he was my anchor. So he was able to pull himself out of his journey, which I'm really sorry that he had to do, but they didn't know what else to do. So
yeah, right.
yes, for me, I've never been able to pull myself out. Like, I don't need anywhere near as much medicine as anyone else, even though I sit regularly. I need a very small amount and I will go very deep, but once I'm in, that's it, I'm in.
Yeah, right. Interesting. So they're really trained in, like you guys are trained in to what to look for to see if someone's kind of freaking out or, yeah.
Yes. So, particular, like the shaman that I love dearly, I think he had to sit like 30 times in his, in his initiation went for 6 months, and in that 6 months he sat 30 times.
Wow.
So that's before they're even able to be considered to serve, like even considered. That's their initiation process, and he'd sat as a participant, not even as an initiation, but as a self-explorer, many times before that, like at least 100. So it's about familiarity with the medicine. Like, they know what to look for. They understand how it works.
Okay. Yeah, cool. And is it kind of like can you go in and actually choose something that you're wanting to kind of focus on, or is it just the ride? You just along for whatever comes up, and you know that you're just trusting that whatever comes up is what you need to be working on at that time, or?
It's different with every medicine. So everyone is really different to work with. Like, ayahuasca or acacia can be described somewhat like a therapist. You often will get like definitive like steps. But whereas mushrooms, psilocybin, can be very elusive, and it's elfin. They're elfin by nature, and they're also extraterrestrial by nature. So sometimes you are like, that was not what I asked for, and it makes no sense to me right now, but I'm just going to trust you. And then in a week or two, it'll unfold. And then Wachuma is completely different again. So they all very, very different. 5-MeO-DMT, different again. Generally with that, your intention will get answered as well. DMT can be quite elusive. You never know what you're going to get. So they're all different, but an intention is important. Without an intention, for me, it's a little recreational. I feel an intent, even if your intention is to surrender to the medicine, let it show me what it feels I need to see, that is still an intention.
Okay, cool. And are you comfortable, I don't know if this is a question that's okay to ask or not, but are you comfortable with sharing like a story that has happened for you, like something that has actually been brought into your awareness and how it's impacted your life?
Yeah, of course.
And how it's shifted?
Yeah, I'm so comfortable. Like, we run our retreats where the medicine's completely legal for that reason, because I feel it's important to have these conversations. And if I was to facilitate in a country where it wasn't, I wouldn't be able to talk about it. So that's why I've moved all of my retreats to where it's completely legal.
Nice.
So I can talk about it. For me, one of the most poignant medicines I've ever sat with is 5-MeO-DMT, which is a Sonora desert toad medicine. Which doesn't come from a plant. It comes from an excretion from a gland on a toad. The toads are not hurt.
Oh my God.
Stay, like they get this little gooey stuff and they put it between two perspex and they dry it out. Crystallizes a little bit like crystal meth, which is completely alarming, and then you smoke it in a pipe.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, anyway, so it was super weird because I struggled with an ice addiction for many years, like not many years, about 3 years in my younger days, and so this was like,
what? Oh, I'm going backwards.
But it was a game changer because for years I had studied, texts. I had a degree in Buddhist philosophy and psychology. I had studied the Vedanta teachings. I had studied at the feet of gurus, yoga, Hinduism, so many different philosophies, Zen, seeking these answers. And I read all about the cosmos and consciousness and meaning of life. Like, who am I? What am I here for? And then when I had the desert toad medicine, I experienced the truth of existence. So the I dissolved. There was no I. There was no identity. There was no person. There was no ego. I evaporated into the cosmos. So for me, it was a symbolic death and a rebirth because I went back to the cosmos. So I experienced the energy that is within all of us, which makes us up, the unborn and the undying, the timeless. The I dissolved back into that. And then when I came through and came back to, it was like I was reborn again. So that experience shifted the game for me because I'd studied and intellectually understood this stuff, but I hadn't embodied it. I hadn't actually experienced it. So how can you unless you die, essentially? How can you know that? That medicine took me there.
Wow.
Yes. It was very
Wow.
powerful. My
And I keep
intention
wanting
was,
to be, sorry,
sorry.
I keep wanting to be like, what did it feel like? Tell me what that felt like. But I can't. You can't. You can't.
It's
No.
really difficult to explain. All I can say is that when you're inhaling it, all of a sudden, every person who's ever sat with this medicine hears exactly the same sound. It's like a whoa, whoa, whoa. Then reality disappears. There is nothing. It's gone.
Holy crap. That, ooh, it just makes me like, shudder.
Yes,
Fuck.
yes.
Is it scary? Like, do you feel any kind of, like, that scares me? That whole idea scares me.
Um, Coming out, when I came out of it, I was a little confused about who I was and where I was because the identity and the ego died. I experienced full ego death. So when I came back, I didn't know what this body was. I didn't know where I was. I kept apologizing because I was very unsure.
Oh,
And then
wow.
in time, over the next 30, 40 minutes, I became regrounded in my body. And to be honest, that medicine requires deep integration and support because we didn't have that when we sat with it. However, I'd done enough work to be able to integrate myself. And we have it at my retreats, but there's a deep integration because afterwards you don't know what's real.
Yeah,
I
wow.
actually wondered if I had died on that mountain. And my partner actually tried to go back to that mountain to see if his body was there because your reality is just completely changed.
Shit.
So you get unplugged from the matrix in an instant. That's what it does. So that was probably the most powerful medicine experience I've ever had. Like
And
instant
how long did that one last for?
I think you kind of get put to sleep. So you're asleep for probably about 3 to 5 minutes, varies. And then I guess the journeying of being active lasts for anywhere between 20 to 45 minutes, and the effects are over in an hour, and you can drive home. You're completely fine.
Oh, so it's really short.
Really short. Just one
Yeah.
of the that and DMT. It's a form of DMT, but it's different. It's 5M. It's a different compound by a few little molecules. That's 5-MeO DMT. But DMT. So why this is powerful, and this is the only reason that I support the use of plant medicine, is it dissolves the I. So we suffer because there's an identity. We suffer because there's separation from source and separation from each other. This medicine dissolves that and you return to where you came from. When you have that experience and embody oneness again, your life can never be the same. You can never see separation. You can never suffer from thinking you're separate from source because you experienced, while you were living, a death. You died while you were breathing. You returned to oneness while you were breathing. So that can't be done with any other medicine. Every other medicine that I've worked with, there's still a sense of I. There's still a sense of person and identity. But with this one, there's none. It goes.
Wow. Wow. So is that something that you need to work up to doing, or is it something that you can kind of like just jump in and go for it? Like, it sounds like something you kind of need.
Yeah, it's my partner had never done any drug or he barely drank alcohol or any medicine at all. Like that was his introduction. That was his first experience.
Fuck me. Are you kidding? Whoa.
He had full samadhi, satori. Like he was just like love. That changed his life. Like before that, got road rage. He was quite angry. Although the work for him has been 12 months of unpacking and upgrading his frequency and dissolving his ego, that started it all. Without that, I really doubt that he would be where he is now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Huge.
Yeah. That's crazy. Crazy. Crazy, crazy. Just the whole thought, like my head is spinning just even thinking about that concept, like
Yes.
to actually experience that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it's like basically surrendering to a form of death.
Yes, exactly.
To be born again is oneness. Wow. Yeah. Well.
Yeah.
Hang out with that.
And the issue is, like any enlightenment experience, I believe many people experience enlightenment over their life, whether it's through breath work, meditation, yoga. And there's so many roads to the top of the mountain. But what happens is they experience this bliss of no mind and this bliss of oneness, and their ego is waiting outside for them. So the minute they come back out of this experience, the ego makes it into a construct. It attaches it to their identity, and then they make meaning and try and label and conceptualize this experience that cannot be conceptualized. And that is where then they begin to suffer again, because they've gone back into the mind. And so if these medicines are not navigated in a way that we can stay attached to that true self, it can become another identity, another personality. We're just upgrading our personality to someone who's had plant medicine, and then that becomes a part of our ego. So it's just, that's where that needs to be navigated really carefully.
Yeah, okay, right. Yeah, wow. Cool. So like this conversation just blowing my mind. I'm so intrigued. So with your retreats that you run, do you kind of start on something like mushrooms and then kind of gradually, like, is it focused on one kind of plant medicine for the whole retreat, or do you explore different kinds throughout the retreat? How's it work?
So we use many throughout the 7 days. We use the mother plant, mother ayahuasca. We use wachuma. We use kambo, the frog medicine, which is not hallucinogenic. It's a cleanser. And then we use the 5-MeO-DMT.
So what do you mean by cleanser? What's a cleanser?
So we sit with the mother plant the first evening. And in order for us to then sit with the 5-MeO-DMT, we've got to cleanse our system completely. That's why we then use the kambo the next morning. So the kambo is actually a poison from the frog. They burn it onto your arm, and from that your body will excrete any toxins, and it removes it's the ultimate detox, essentially, is probably the best way to describe it. Nice. And it's amazing for the nervous system, it's amazing for rebooting the immune system, but it removes all residual remnants of the mother plant. And that way we can sit with 5-MeO-DMT, or they will contraindicate and we can't do them together. So we do those 3 the first 2 days, then we have a break. And we do deep self-inquiry. So although during the workshops and in the ceremonies, if you need help, there's of course conversation, but most of the retreat is done in silent contemplation, because the medicine is a key to unlocking the inner world. And humans naturally, because of the mind, want to then make it mean stuff by talking about others and reaffirming their identity and reaffirming their experience. If you do that outside of it, you're lost. So the rest of our retreats are then done in silence. And then we do use psilocybin mushrooms, and then we use wachuma, the cactus, at the end.
Okay, cool. Wow. Amazing. So how many have you got coming up in the next, because I think is the silent retreat that I asked for information on, is that a plant medicine one, or no? That's just pure silence, isn't it?
Pure. So the silent retreat is based in self-inquiry, and so we use a lot of somatic work, a lot of Osho psychosomatic work, where we cleanse the body through movement. Then we use chanting, meditation, yoga, all of the ancient tools that I've spent many, many years acquiring. And then the rest, it's all silent. So other than the exercises, somatic exercises, which might have screaming in it, which is really cathartic and therapeutic, everything's in silence. So there's no medicine in that. Eventually, the work that I do will not have medicine. I feel that it'll probably phase out in the next 18 months.
Okay, why is that?
So the deeper, we can only take people as deep as we ourselves have experienced. So for me, the medicine has been an unbelievably powerful tool to take people to the unexplainable. So the level of depth and peace that I've experienced, I have not been able to explain, conceptualize for people without the medicine. But the deep awakening and peace that I've experienced that has not left me since my recent journey back to my guru's homeland has not left. So the deeper I get into that, the easier it is for me to take people there without the medicine. So I can take people there very easily without it. So therefore, I would rather take them on a more direct route. So no detours.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah. sometimes detours are necessary, right? Like
Yeah.
things take us so far, but then they dissolve and they fall away. And then something else will take us and then it dissolves. And then eventually everything dissolves and we're just in peace. So they're all necessary tools, but they're only tools.
Mm-hmm. So you're kind of at that point now where you're just at peace and you believe that you don't need to actually do all them, because there's so much noise out there about all these different modalities of healing and working on yourself and clearing stuff, and like plant medicine is part of that. So is there, you think there's you believe there's a way that you can actually get to that deep inner peace, like
Yes.
like still with using some of those modalities, or just actual self-inquiry
Some of them
without that stuff?
some of it we will use. Like even like a lot of the techniques we use are Osho based techniques. So Osho, he created somatic work because a lot of Westerners would go to him and they just had the busiest minds. They couldn't actually sit and reflect and do self-inquiry or meditation because their minds were like monkey minds. So he created this dynamic movement-based meditation as a gateway for people to experience a quiet mind. But once they experienced a quiet mind, that dissolved. They didn't need to do it anymore. He himself never did somatic work. He didn't need to because he had a quiet mind. He was awakened. So eventually, these tools, a lot of people that will come would have done a lot of tools, would have done a lot of work, but they probably are at the point where they feel like this is taking me no further. This is not freeing me from suffering. I've done all the courses, I've read all the books, I've done all the meditations, but I'm not getting any further. Then when you're at that point and it becomes so uncomfortable, then self-inquiry can take over, because the motivation to find the I till it dissolves is strong enough for you to stick at it. Some people can go straight into it. I have students I work with that have done very little personal development and they're finding a deep sense of peace and liberating themselves from the mind beautifully because they've done no other work. So there's no preconditioning, but their desire for the truth is so strong that they stick at it and they're willing to lean into what's not comfortable. And because of that, they're dissolving away what's not real. But so it's different for everybody. There's this, I believe there's collective limiting belief that we need to do all this stuff because we're Western and we've had years of this belief systems that, have stopped us from our truth and we've believed in separation. I think that sometimes is a bit of BS because we're already enlightened. We've just forgotten. So if you're willing to give up your mind and identity and actually discover that you're already where you're seeking, if you're truly willing to give that up with your best heart, you'll find it. It doesn't matter.
And it's just, and when we talk about it and it's explained like that, it's like, oh, it sounds so easy, but then this ego mind is just like, it just is not working, you know.
Which is why a teacher or a mentor is so important, because so for me personally, until I reconnected with my teacher, there was a part of me that didn't feel safe to let go of my identity. I needed him in a way to hold space for me so I could heal myself to the point where I could let go of who I thought I was. But until that point, the Buddha talks about there are 5 things that stop us from enlightenment, and one of them is clinging to life. So instinctually, we're clinging to this identity of who we think we are because that is habit. That's who we've always thought we are. And without it, we're so terrified because we don't know who we are. In order to feel safe to let that go, we need to have someone holding us metaphorically. We need to feel safe. So until I met him, even 17 years of work, I didn't feel safe enough to let go. Now I've let it go. I feel safe. Actually, even feeling safe is dissolved. There is just peace. But I feel like
it's just like you're constantly having to catch yourself, and constantly like the words that you use and the things that you say, like speak, is like, oh, actually, is that ego that's talking, like, and just constantly pulling yourself back to, I guess, truth.
Yes. Or there is no ego.
There,
so how do I explain? So when I talk, I'm empty. I just talk. There's no attachment to what I say. I'm not thinking about if I'm saying the right thing, or is this coming from anywhere? It's empty. Whatever's comes from emptiness just comes. It's whatever's supposed to come.
So it's just flowing. It just flows out of you, essentially.
So there's just no thoughts, and then we're just interacting, and I'm interacting from emptiness.
Oh my God. Like, it just sounds amazing. And it's interesting because I've been following you for a while, and then like noticing the other day when you were you must have just gotten back from your trip to India, and I watched it live, and it was like, I think I commented like, you are radiant, like you were just, something had shifted in you big time. You were just glowing. And it's that peace. It's just like that Zen.
Empty, no mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
amazing.
Very beautiful. And it's beautiful. There's no word, really.
So how does that, I've just got a notification that my battery's about to die, but I want to ask you, so just give me 2 seconds. I'm just going to get my charger.
Of course.
But I want to talk to you about how you kind of work this stuff with your partner, and having a partner who's not necessarily on the same trail. 1 sec. Okay, so how do you kind of, like, your partner, is he quite into all of this stuff as well? Like you said that he's done a few plant medicines and things like that.
Yes.
So is he kind of...
A little. So his journey has been at a different timeline, and he is about to head off to Dr. Joe Dispenza's advanced course on the Sunshine Coast at the end of October, which will be incredible. Like, I love Dr. Joe. A lot of his work is science meets spirituality. So a lot of the stuff that I talk about being empty is what he guides people to do, but just in a different way. But his whole point and intention is, if you want to create this life that you're saying you want, which is like the desire of most humans, right? He's like, first you must become empty. In order to create, we must become nobody, and then surrender all attachments. So he's essentially saying the same things, but he does it through science. So he talks about energy centers rather than chakras. So for people that maybe aren't spiritually minded, like my partner, who, he resonates with that more deeply. But for a long time, we were at very different timelines, and people actually ask me this a lot. I just surrender control and expectation around anything outside of myself, including him. I give him space to be himself. If that means that he doesn't want to do anything to better himself, then my choice is to love him unconditionally for where he's at, because that's the choice I make with being in union with him. And for me, that is, when the ego was really present and the identity and the personality was really there, sometimes that would be difficult, because there'd be an element of taking things personally if he didn't want to excel himself. And there was all these stories running in my head that I wanted a partner that, because I'm friends with Alexi and Preston, so I'd look at them and I'd be like, I want an Alexi and Preston relationship.
And, a conscious relationship where we're both working on ourselves together and we're growing at the same rate. Yeah, I want that.
Yes, my ego was like, I want to be doing lives together, and we need to go on laptops together. Like, it was having a field day.
Yeah.
And
I've been there.
Yes. Oh, it was, at the time I had a really powerful conversation with Preston about it, actually. And he said to me, are you trying to control his idea of happiness? And I said, yes.
Oh my God. Whoa, resignation.
Yeah. So from that moment on, I surrendered, and it was perfect because I made a commitment to myself, hilarious, about 6 months ago, that my number one priority was my own enlightenment and awakening, and that came first. And in that, it allowed me to surrender my expectations and control of anything outside of myself. And from that, my relationships with everybody deepened and enriched because I loved them for who they were without needing them to be anything else. And interestingly enough, the growth that my partner's made in that time for his own development has quadrupled infinitely. Like, it's massive. Like, he's like a different human. You know, he's doing things out of his own will without me saying anything. So,
and so often the case is like create that space for them to find it for themselves, and it allows them without that pressure of them feeling like they have to do something.
Yes. Yeah, and being okay if they don't. Like, you know, one of the greatest teachings I think my teacher has passed on to me is that when we sit in reality, we have to be okay with whatever arises. You know, we need to meet everything with loving kindness, because the desire to identificate and compartmentalize and judge is only coming from the ego, and it's only coming from our perception, which is not even based on reality. It's based on a bunch of illusions and ideas that's often been handed to us by others. So to sit in everything, regardless of how uncomfortable, and meet it with loving kindness, you'll be liberated and free. And I think that in relationships is the ultimate advice.
Yes.
Ultimate.
Because I've so been guilty of it with Gary, because I'm like, come and do a breath workshop with me. And he's like, no. And I'm just like, oh, come on, but it's great. It's going to make you feel so good. You're going to like uncover. He's like, no. I'm like, it's going to make you feel so good. Just go and do it. So to let go of that. And that's so like what you just said about that whole trying to control his happiness. Like, he's happy doing what he's doing. It's not, you know, just because we're together doesn't mean that we have to be doing the same things and being on the same spiritual path. And then we have moments where he pulls me up on stuff all the time, and I'm just like, where did that come from? Like, just because it doesn't look like my journey doesn't mean that he's not on his own journey.
Yes, exactly. It's so true. And like in India, my partner hated it for about a week. He had the dark night of the soul, and all of our friends were joking because he posted many photos, and I don't know why, and I don't even know if he's watching this, but he posted many selfies of himself at the time. He was just like this. I don't know why. And so everyone clearly interpreted he was having a really bad time. But, he, just because it's not his jam doesn't mean that I don't love him or I want to be with anyone else. I'm going back in January by myself with some other people, and he's not coming. I don't know if he'll ever go ever again, and that's okay. That's his journey and his likes. Like, he might want to go, I don't know, to America to Dr. Joe's thing. I don't know, but that's not my jam. It doesn't mean that we can't still love each other, and we're still about growth, just in different ways. Yeah, beautiful. So funny. It's nice to know that I'm not the only one that goes through that whole idealizing. It's so funny you pull Alexia and Preston up, because I see that. I'm just like, I used to compare it all the time. Like, oh, I want to be like that. It's such a great relationship. Yes. Yeah, it's, you know, and their relationship, they will share this candidly. You know, they're two A-type personalities who are so committed to growth and excelling and change that they butt heads. They, you know, their relationship takes a lot of work, you know, for them to, you know, come together. But they are very committed to their own growth first. You know, and when we are committed to our own growth first, and we don't need someone else to be anything but how they are in that moment, then it will flourish. But if we're looking for someone to be something else, to make, you know, to help us on our journey, it's not gonna, we're gonna suffer. But they're so committed to their own growth first. Yeah, that's so true. So true. If anyone has any questions, I'm just gonna do a quick roll through. Yes. There's been lots of little comments that I'm just been like in this conversation with. That's so good. I can't even see anything. Okay, right. So let's have a look. Lots of people. Oh, Peter Cow. Hey, Megan. Hello, Meaty. I don't know. I think that's Nikii Syme. Meaty. Hey, Renee, Meaty. Denise, Yvonne, Julie, Sky, love you, Sky, Matt. Ayahuasca is my dream, Sky. Amazing. Yes. Hi, Christine.
I knew this talk was going to be awesome, but I didn't know it was going to be this awesome.
Aww.
Isn't acacia golden wattle our national emblem?
Yes, it is.
Yes. And that's the
funny.
plant. Yeah. Awesome. Hi, Tanya.
A cosmic joke, right? But
Yeah. Yeah. Hi, Amber, Christine, Uday, Abigail. Hey, girlfriend.
Hey,
We're being
Abby.
I was on her live just before. Ken, oh my goodness, all these incredible. Megan, Nicole, hey, sexy mamas. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, is that different to fear of death? Megan.
Megan, I had a journey on Acacia where that was the one Cameron had to save me in, because I'd forgotten I'd taken the medicine, and I took a significantly higher dose than I normally take. And so the shadow and the fear of death came out in a big way, and I had convinced myself if I moved off this certain little spot on the ground, I would die. So then all of this panic came up around me dying. And it lasted about 90 minutes.
Oh,
and that's what Megan was asking about. So that's when my partner had to come and be my anchor to help me process that out.
Right. So, oh, wow. Yeah, crazy.
Anyway,
my goddess. My goddess, you're gorgeous when you smile. I think she's talking to you.
Oh, and you.
Oh, I know that already, but I'm pretty sure she tells me that all the time. I'm just reading, listening, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself by Dr. Joe Dispenza. That's Catherine.
Good book. Good book.
I find it tricky with kids sometimes. Oh my gosh, yes, definitely. Sometimes I just want them to be a certain way. Yeah, that's a massive thing I'm working on at the moment.
Yes.
With kids, like, fuck, they're triggering the fuck out of me. Full on.
Yes. Full on. Yeah. I don't have children, so I do not comment, because I feel it's important to come from a place of embodiment, and that I have not embodied.
Yeah, look, it's a journey. And one that I don't feel confident like talking about yet either. Because toddlers, wow, they know how to stir shit for sure. Megan, I had a question. Is clinging to life the same as fear of death?
Yes. Same.
Catherine, so what did he do? So what did he do to what, Catherine? Sorry, I just sit. Are you talking about when Kate's partner had to come and be the grounder? What is it called? Catalyst?
Anchor. He was my anchor. He just reminded me of all of my human things, like, remember your sister, remember your mom, remember this, remember the dogs, and then that, all of a sudden I was able to compartmentalize my identity again, and I was, okay, cool, I'm here, I've taken the medicine, this is just like all the other times, it's okay, and I was able to work through that. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Yes, kids, your own personal spiritual catalyst. Yes. Do you want to have kids? Do you envisage having children?
One day, yeah. At this point in time, that's a yes. So many, I guess, spiritual people believe no. Like, I know a lot of Buddhists, monks and nuns, obviously, like Zen monks can get married. So of course, those who are celibate can't have children, but a lot of them opt out of not having them because they believe that links you to like karmic bondages. However, I think I don't believe it. So I'm okay with that at this point. Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. I didn't know that they had that belief around.
Yes.
Curious. Cool. All right. So for anyone who's watching who is interested in getting into plant medicine, tell the ladies, or tell anyone who's interested how they can possibly work with you, or where's a good place to start. What's a good starting point?
Beautiful. So if you shoot me a message, because on the 19th I'm releasing the VIP spots, which will be a discount and first chance. So the retreats, they book out very early. and very quickly. So on the 19th, I'll release the dates and the openings for this year with the non-plant medicine retreat in October in Thailand, the retreat in Vanuatu in March, and the retreat in Nepal in July. So if you're interested in doing plant medicine, you've got Vanuatu and Nepal. And if you're wanting to work with me, not plant medicine, self-inquiry, then we have October. So if that interests you, just message me and I'll put you on the VIP list. And then when it's released, you will get the first bit of information and you get the opportunity to get the spots first.
Awesome. And I think the October one's in Australia, isn't it? New South Wales?
Yes, October one, yes. I think it's called, I'm saying it wrong, I'm sure. Tillingham, I don't know. It's near Yukai, northern New South Wales. Beautiful spot, really beautiful.
Awesome. Cool. That's the one that I'm hoping, I am intending to come along to.
Yay!
I've always wanted to do a silent retreat.
It's so powerful. It really is. Powerful teacher. So the lineage I'm in, so Ramana Maharishi is, I guess, my spiritual great-grandfather. And most of his teachings were done in silence. He didn't talk. So being an enlightened being, his frequency and energy, just being in his presence, he could just stare at you and people would drop their identity like that. So silence is a very ancient teacher.
Wow. So is in the retreat, do you talk at all, or is it like, how many days is it?
It's 4 days. And
just...
there are segments of it. So you have an hour every day where if you're under great distress and you need to see someone, you can go and see somebody.
I'm going insane in my head.
And we're doing some Osho active meditations, and in some of those you're required to scream and talk and as a release. But other than that, the rest of it's silent. So yeah, we do a Nadi Brahma, which is a humming meditation, which is super powerful. So that's sound. We do make some sound, but other than that, everything's silent.
Okay, cool, awesome. Oh, I can't imagine. It'll be so good. Sounds amazing. That's all I ever want, to be silent a lot. Yes, me too. The kids make it extremely difficult. Me too. Oh, silent and just alone time, like just being alone.
Yeah, the retreat will be a perfect recharge for you.
Yeah. All right, my love, is there anything else that you wanted to share? I'm feeling quite complete with that conversation.
I feel super complete. I just want to thank you so much. This has been so much fun. I've had the greatest time. Thank you, everyone who watched. It's been amazing.
Yeah, it's perfect. And even the running late and forgetting is all perfect.
Yeah. I've loved it. It's like really cool. Thank you so much, sister. I'm so grateful for you and I'm so appreciative of this time. Thank you.
Likewise. Thank you so much for being here and sharing your wisdom and your energy, that beautiful energy. You're incredible. I love it. Love you.
I love you.
Thank you to everyone. Thank you everyone for watching and sharing your energy with us also. We hope that you loved it, and yeah, see you next week.